This is the Night Owls Disc Golf Podcast. I'm Shane.
I'm JP.
And I am Ben.
Oh, are we getting really close to the mic and talking like this now?
Me llamo Ben.
Hola, Ben. That's for you Spanish speakers out there. We just gave it to you. So
I'm just trying to break it up.
All
switch
right,
it up.
folks. How we doing today? How's everything going? I know we've been talking for like 15 minutes already, but how you guys be? Not all at once.
It's warming up. It
is.
If you're not in Wisconsin, we're expected to hit 50 degrees here hopefully soon. And this is like I saw on the news, like this is one of the latest 50-degree days that we've gotten in many a year. So hopefully that means disc golf is actually coming for real this time.
And you know what that means. That's Speedo weather right there, buddy.
For who?
And not like the shorts jammers. I'm talking straight Speedo. Mm-hmm.
Would you bet that? Would you place that on a bet that if you lost a bet you'd have to play around in a Speedo?
I mean, yeah, I would, but I don't know if I'd want to do that to somebody. I mean, whoever's there at the course, that would be devastating. I mean, could I have a shirt on and just the Speedo? So it kind of looked like I had nothing but a shirt on.
Hey, that's for you, between you and whoever you place that bet with.
You need one of those, like, was it Borat had like the suspender, like green? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, it's like, the banana hammock that has, yeah. No, I would, I would. I don't have much shame, honestly. I mean, I don't love my body. I think it's probably the worst it's looked ever, but I would share that with people. Wouldn't have an issue with it. So, all right. Well, let's transition. So, how much do you guys like drugs?
Interesting question.
Let's hear it.
I'm on them every day.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, allergy medicine.
I guess
they help me breathe.
I'm inherently pro-drug as well.
Right.
I do have a funny story about drugs. I went to
it seems like a perfect place for it.
So in college, like you would go to like the student health center and you'd be like sick, and then they would just assume, because I just thought of this because what JP said about allergies is like they would just assume that you just had a cold or like allergies or something, and like they were just notorious for giving everyone just like Claritin for everything. So when I was in college, I went there and I was like, hey, like, can we do a strep test? Like, I genuinely think I have strep right now. And they're like, nah, it's just allergies. Like, take some Claritin, you'll be good to go. I went and got a second opinion. Like, I came back home to Green Bay, and then they were like, oh, you have viral tracheitis. Like, this is a thing. So then, inherently pro drugs because I got real drugs. I'm not really sure, probably. But either way, Claritin wasn't fixing that, but other drugs were.
Amoxicillin, penicillin, whatever.
So you guys keep talking about like these legal drugs. What about illegal drugs?
I'm of the mindset of that, like, what do you do in the privacy of your own home? If it's not hurting anybody else and you want to put your body and legal standing in the world in jeopardy, that is your business, not mine.
Your prerogative. All right. JP, you going to weigh in or stay silent on this one?
Yeah, I mean, whatever.
You're technically a government employee, right? Like, you gotta...
I am.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So maybe he's just gonna cool.
Yeah. All right. Well, we need our mail, so we'll continue. So
hey, they actually stopped drug testing, so they're having trouble hiring people. So when I first started 11 years ago now, I had to get drug tested, but now apparently they've like waived a bunch of the stuff that I had to go through so they can hire more people.
Isn't that so?
Wild.
So side note,
yeah,
aren't background checks and drug tests like, don't they bring out paranoia in you? Because every time So I'm going to volunteer at the high school, and I have to do a background check to volunteer at the high school.
Mm-hmm.
And every time I have to do a background check or a drug test or something, I get super nervous. I get super angsty. I've never had anything but speeding tickets as far as law enforcement goes. And I mean, it's been 25 years since I've even touched anything remotely questionable as far as what would go into my body. At the 30 years. So I don't know, like, well, no, 20 years. I'm not that old. So
aging yourself. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But why do I get nervous every single time? Like every single time I just get like this weird feeling that something's going to come back that I don't know about, or someone stole my identity. And
it's the unknown, right? You never know what's on your record that they would see as being questionable, and you're like, no, that's perfectly fine. But like, yeah, like speeding tickets, they come off your record, whatever, like 10 years or 5 years, whatever it is, because that was another thing. You have to sign up for the to work for the postal service. You had to have a clean driving record, and I got a speeding ticket probably when I was like 21, but then like 10 years had passed, so I was fine. And then another lady like a couple months ago tried to sign up, and she ended up, I guess she told me that she got speeding tickets so she couldn't be hired, and she went through like the whole process up until that, and then they're like, nope, sorry, can't do it.
And that's just for everybody? Like, you can't just do a non-driving position?
No, I mean for a driving position.
Oh, okay.
For a non-driving position. Yeah, she wanted to be a carrier or a carrier assistant, but yeah, for a non-driving position, not a big deal.
Yeah, dude's a clerk, and like, dude, you got a speeding ticket, you can't work anywhere. Like, I don't drive. I don't even have a license.
I was speeding to work.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, so anyways, I bring up the drugs because I feel like disc golf, and especially disc golf manufacturers, they're kind of like drug dealers. Like if we were to make a movie or a show, it would be a lot like Breaking Bad with discs, because they peddle these things so
They're
much.
Just in a Winnebago making discs and all coming up.
Well, think about it. I mean, like, I love Lone Star, but think about Lone Star. they're out in the middle of Texas.
Gateway makes discs with hemp plastic.
See?
That's true.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is, what ends up happening is you get all these discs. You don't need them. They just keep pushing them down your throat. They're the same exact discs that they produced 100 times before that, but they put this stupid stamp on it that you have to have. And you keep saying to yourself, you're not going to buy any more discs. And then they do something stupid like put a metal flake in, and then you got to buy it again. It's the same disc, and it's just to sit on a shelf. I'm not frustrated at all with that. So that's what I feel.
Sounds like you haven't had your fix in a while, is what it sounds like.
I know. So, yeah. So I feel like
that throw a hanger or flipper. No.
Exactly. And with that, throw a hanger or flipper, boys. What did you buy this week?
Are we actually going?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. I bought backups of things that I needed. So the casual relief guys went up to Door County and got some stuff for themselves and for me. So I got a backup V1 penny putter, Artist Series Alpha Lariat, and then a Hooligan thread in what is basically Bravo, so that's also just another Lariat. And then because I couldn't help myself, I got a cookie. Because I wanted to guarantee I could get a cookie.
Yeah. What about you, JP?
Let's see. I bought a Super Dillo. And I got one for Dempsey as well, because he saw it and he thought it was really cool. That was like super oversized in the size of his face, pretty much. I bought a blue bonnet to try out. And then what was the other thing? I bought an Artist Series Texas Ranger. It was like cool because it was like Halo, and I wanted the blue, the purple one, but that, I guess Caden told me, I thought he would have gotten it, but it went out on an order. Online order. So I got another one that was kind of cool. It's like a lighter purple halo with like a darker middle. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah. There was some really good looking plastic in that, and there's still some sitting there, but a lot of the really, really vibrant, swirly or halo-ish type stuff it's kind of all gone. I mean, there's a few more in there, but man, they all went out really quick. I was putting some on, and an individual named Steve actually contacted me through, I believe it was through Instagram, and he was just like, "So what do you have for this and this?" And I just showed him pictures. He's like, "Can you sell me that?" And I was like, "Well, I'm not going to have them online for another day or so." And he's like, "Well, just let me know when." And what I did is I just made a under the we label everything by color stamp and color disc. So I just put Steve's Lariat or so whatever it was that he was ordering. I just put Steve's and I said, okay, they're up online. Go grab them. I can't guarantee they'll be there. And he jumped on and grabbed them real quick. So I kind of did that special for him when they came in. But then it got everything else up between Kate and I. We got them up by the end of the weekend. And they're just going off the shelf. So we've been a little slower on the site. But yeah, they've been going. So. And
so
I
can
unfortunately
slide into DMs and get things held and named after me.
Yeah, it all depends on what type of pictures. I mean,
feet pics.
I won't say yes. I won't say no.
You said pictures.
No. I just do what I can for people. If someone asks for something and it's something specific, I mean, people ask me about weights all the time because we don't have weights on the site yet because it's not quite capable of having that many variants. There's a couple things that if someone asks me something on the site, I'll jump on immediately and try to get it for them. So, and if I can, I'll just tell them, hey, give me 30 minutes and I'll do what I can. Oh, Ben, it looks like your computer stopped recording. Hopefully it didn't. You're still up on the screen, so we'll keep chugging along here. Oh, yep, we lost him, so he'll be back in. So I didn't buy anything. As far as the thrower, hanger, and flipper goes, I didn't buy any discs because I was at a swim meet for my son on Sunday, and then kind of came back, and Monday just kind of started working. So glad you're back, Ben. Just started working. So looks like the internet has dropped off again on us. So we might see some choppiness on the video. All right. So we'll get into the preview. So we're going to go over the Open in Austin. We're going to do some picks for states or Texas states. We're going to talk about the end of an era with Kristin Tatar. We'll talk about Prodigy's lawsuit, and we'll do an update. So Ben will take that one. And then we'll talk about WTF, Richard. Why did you DNF? And then Champions Cup, and Doug leaves DD. And then we'll go over Ben's random question, and we'll do some shop updates. DoorDisc.com. Remember, you can get everything you need at DoorDisc.com. And then Door_disc_golf, Night_owl_pod are our Instagram handles. And then on YouTube, it's DoorDisc Golf. So I think outside of that, let's get into it. So Open at Austin. Let's talk about the course first. What do you guys think about the course?
I thought the property.
Okay.
You go ahead. Oh,
I don't know. Go ahead.
Okay. I thought the property was really nice. Like, I thought that there was a lot of different things that they could have done, a lot of cool things with. I think that I was just kind of in the majority of people, and I know JP will probably talk about it too, is just like there's just a lot of weird OB in the routing of the course itself. Like, as far as like how you played it was also really weird. Just really weird setup in terms of just how the holes were bunched together, the warm-up area. Just congested is a word I would use.
Yeah, I think so. The back nine definitely. It was weird because it seemed like there was separation between the front nine and the back nine. Like there's a huge walk from hole 9 to hole 10. Like you had to walk a far distance. It almost felt like it was two separate courses, 2 separate 9-hole courses at some point. But I mean, being Texas, it felt a lot like, there's spots where you get in the rough and it's like, oh, it feels like Waco, or like just being in the area for this long, having Waco, this stop, and then next Texas states, it's all kind of the same atmosphere almost, except those 2 other aren't on golf courses. But yeah, I didn't like a lot of the OB, a lot of the just the out of bounds was weird. The bunching of the holes on the back nine was weird. The flow was okay. It's fine. I mean, I'm getting kind of sick of Texas golf watching it.
Yeah. I thought that the course didn't play well, just viewership wise. I don't know if I had any problems with the course itself because I didn't play it, so I don't know exactly how the playability was. It didn't seem like the holes had much separation. They played very hard, but it didn't seem like there was huge separation in a lot of the holes. There were some out there that made some differences, but for the most part, it was hard to get birdies out there. I mean, the winners weren't 21 under for a 3-round event. So, but viewing wise, it just it didn't look good. It didn't look manicured. It didn't look, I don't know. It just looked like it was kind of thrown onto a open field, or not just in a field, like in the wilderness. It just didn't seem groomed or manicured to me.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed watching it, but that's the only thing I have to say. As far as the course layout and how it played, I don't know. I didn't play it, so I can't really speak to that. It sounds like there's the love or hate. I mean, Paul Macbeth came out very much so and picked out a few holes that said he didn't like him at all. The Jomez guys basically trashed the course the entire practice rounds. And they're not the only ones. Now there's a couple that came into defense of it, that it was a fine course. It was a great course. I mean, Gannon Burr, who won, said, sure, there's a couple holes I didn't like, but everybody played the same course, which I thought was a pretty mature answer by him. But, for the most part, I thought that it just didn't look good. That's all.
I think the reason for that is that, like, when we see other ball golf courses on tour, you know exactly where the hole ends and where it starts, and like, this is the fairway, this is the rough. Where with this course, it seemed like some of these holes were like bleeding into each other, so like you just didn't really get a good sense of, like, is that how the fairway is shaped, or is this like how you're supposed to play the hole, or are we throwing in this direction? So just kind of some of those other questions.
Yeah, that very well could be. I don't know. Just like any course in disc golf, I probably would love to play it because I don't think there's such thing as a bad course. I mean, I had that on some of my disc golf adventures. I find myself not liking the course, but still enjoying playing, if that makes any sense. Like, I wouldn't probably go back to the course, but I'd still like it. So, and I think that would probably fall into something in that realm. If I didn't like it, I'd still enjoy playing it. I just probably wouldn't go back. So with that being said, do you think we'll see it on tour next year? I've heard this grumbling not only in our group text, but also I've heard it publicly on a couple other outlets as well. What do you think?
I think now that it's in rotation, it'll probably be back and they can work on the course. But yeah, I heard too, I was thinking about it before I heard it about, it should have probably started out as a Silver Series event, just to get it. I understand that the TDs have history of running good events and 8 years and things, and they were brought on for this. And I just think anytime there's a new event that maybe you can iron out the kinks beforehand. And then, because I mean, even thinking about when the Silver Series started and Silver Cup was on the docket. It was a Silver Series in 2020, and it hasn't appeared yet as a Silver Series or on the Pro Tour. And there's lots of factors that come into that, with lodging and the size of the town, and being able to host the event itself. Whereas Austin is huge. South by Southwest was going on the same weekend. They had a lot of people showing up for the gallery and everything. But as far, I don't know, I'm sure it'll be back, and I'm sure it'll improve.
All right. So we have first, second, and third. We'll go start with the MPL. So Burr takes it down. Simon right behind him, who came from third card, and Burr was from second card. And then we have Proctor and Heimberg that round off the top three. And then we have Pierce, Allen, and then Weiss and Gannon round out the top three. So Pierce is back on the podium. How about that? I believe it was Statmando that pointed out that Pierce, this is the longest time that she's been off of a podium or off of a win in her career. So I think it was 6 months or something like that since she has won.
Since European Open, whenever that was. Yeah. But she was quick to point out that on Nick and Matt's show, she's like, oh, it's the off season. I was like, okay, I get it. Like that many days between off season and European Open, but whatever.
I was gonna say, what about wasn't it like 2 months prior, and she played like 4 events when she got back from European Open, and I
don't know.
I think it's rational, it's reasonable. I think there's credence to it, but just interesting fact. It's one of those things that there's off seasons every year, and she's never gone that long without winning. So, but cool to see her.
It's just one of those self-justification things.
Right. Exactly. And it's nice to see her because Pierce at her best and anybody at her best is always going to be best for the game. So as people play as good as they possibly can, they're going to be great for the game. And I think Pierce, being that she is the best female player that has played the game, in my humble opinion, whether she'll continue to be that way or continue to stay the GOAT, that's going to be a whole different conversation. But I think it's good to see her out there. It's good to see her back. And then you see her and Alan right up at top. That's kind of harken back to about 3-4 years ago. So anything else to say about Open at Austin? Oh, yes, there is.
Uh-huh.
What about the dome shot?
Felt so bad for that guy.
Oh, my goodness. So Eagle McMahon threw a grenade over the top of these trees, and a cameraman was standing, I don't know, probably it was inside the circle, it looked like, or maybe just outside the circle. And the grenade came down and just domed him, like hit him hard. The sound was atrocious. Like it was bad. And he went to try to go back to the camera and just ended up couldn't, walked away. And we've since seen pictures where staples in his head. It's pretty nasty. So, let's wish him good health and healing. And then, let Eagle McMahon know it's not his fault. He was doing his job and the hazards of the job. So, and outside of that, I don't think there really needs to be anything else said about it. I'm sure there's going to be big guff about it and rules being made about that one time that one thing happened. But, I think it goes along with the whole AB thing and, on and on. These things are going to happen until they figure out a better system to get cameras in right positions. And right now, the best position is on a person's shoulder. So.
Yeah, they mentioned it on Joe Mez. Like I didn't watch the gatekeeper coverage because I think Eagle was on chase card during that time. But they mentioned that there's like a 20-30 minute backup, due to a injury or something happening on the course. So yeah, pretty crazy for that to happen.
Yeah. All right, we want to do picks for Texas States because we did not do picks for Open at Austin for some reason. But you want to do picks for Texas States? And it is a Silver Series. I do not have it up in front of me, so I am not sure who is playing.
Definitely not Ricky, defending champ.
No. So as we're pulling that up, let's have a conversation about that. Ricky stops with 3 holes left. Why would you not just continue? Was it a ratings thing? Because I'm sure his ratings would have been finished well below his standard deviation, so it probably wouldn't have counted. Why do you think he stopped with just 3 holes left? It seems like a very, I don't know, like you should be able to finish out 3 holes, if that makes any sense.
Right. Yeah. Well, funny story from last year at Springtime Open. I was playing with a gentleman on my card. I think I talked about this earlier. He played the whole round and he decided to DNF on hole 18. He played all, and he's injured during the round. I was like, man, you should have just stopped after the first round. Why try to go through it? And he's like, well, blah, blah, blah. And then he started talking about his rating and he's like, yep, sorry, I'm going to have to go talk to Josh about this. And
I remember
take
that,
a medical. Yeah. I'm like, dude, 1 hole left. what's the deal? Like, just
Yeah.
you're this far. And it was well below his rating. So he's like, oh yeah, I'm over 900 rated, blah blah blah. I'm like, okay, cool, whatever, do you, man? Just kind of an integrity thing.
Yeah.
But well, Ricky was well out of cash too. So it's a funny thing. Someone else that said, throw left-handed or finish out the round that way. But I don't know.
Yeah. And I can't speak on that type of Lyme's disease or anything like that. Like, I had a Lyme's flare up once, they said I had Lyme's once, and it was pretty nasty, but I've never had anything since then. So maybe I'm lucky, or maybe it's misdiagnosed, but nevertheless, I mean, his hand and when his knees looked last year, like, that stuff is nasty, and I couldn't imagine trying to play with it. So I guess I get it. I've walked off a course. I've only DNF'd once in my life, and it was for medical. And I walked off a course about halfway through a round. I think I walked off on 9 or 10 at Sandy Knoll, and I don't know what was going on with me. I had zero energy or anything like that, and that was after I came back from Michigan, and I had that stomach bug where drinking some water, and I got something out in Michigan. So yeah, I mean, I understand walking off a course when you physically cannot play. But man, that is so rare. That is so rare. But good for him. I hope he heals up well once again, and hopefully we see him back, because the field with him in it is always better. So, all right, everybody got Texas State's up?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I'll start. We'll start MPO. I'm going to take the bandwagon. I'm going to go with Burr, and then I'm going to follow it up with Heimberg, and then I'm going to go with Matty O. I'm going to put Matty O on 3. So I'm going to do Burr, Heimberg, and then Matty O. Ben?
Okay, I'm going to go. I'm going to go Adam Hammis, and then I'm going to go Calvin Heimberg, and then I'm going to go Robert Burridge.
All right. JP?
I'm going to take. Okay. I'm going to say Kyle Klein.
Good choice.
And then I'm going to say Gannon second, and then Calvin third.
All right. FPO. So I will start again, and I'm going to go, man, this is sign up. I'm going to do Cat Allen, and then I'm going to do Holland Hanley. Oh, wait. Oh, I thought I saw. Yeah, Holland Hanley. And then, just for fun, because she creeped up there once, I'm going to pick Caroline Henderson. I'd like to see her win, but I don't know. It's just this random, like, she was up there once. I think she can do it again. She's 921 rated. She's third highest. Well, I lied. So she's pretty low. So she's kind of like, oh, hold on. I had him. Let me scratch that. So
He scrolled all the way down to the bottom and saw the top card.
Yeah. Well, so we'll put Tatar at top, and then we'll keep
there.
Allen,
You go.
and then I'll put Hanley after that. So there you go.
He scrolled all the way down to the bottom of the page and saw Kristin Tatar's name, and then a pivot.
Well, no, for some reason it was like hidden on top. I didn't see it. So, all right. But my honorable mention will be Owen Scoggins. I think she has a very good chance of being pretty, but it is kind of a bomber course. You got to have some shot shaping, but Scoggins putting in her shot shape is great. Sometimes she can make up for the lack of distance. So, all right, you guys can go. We'll start with, or Ben again.
I'm going to go Kristin Tatar, and then I'm going to go Missy Gannon, And then just for funsies, because she's playing on the second feature card, I'm going to say Lindsay Fish. Because she's local.
Nice. Yeah, friend of the shop.
She's playing with Rebecca Cox.
Oh, cool beans.
All right. Let's just say I'm going to take Katrina 1. I'm going to take Missy 2nd. And then I'm going to say Kristin 3rd. And then I'm going to take, let's go with Sayananda as a wild card.
Sayananda has played very well. Got an ace at LVC. Been in the mix. Not a bad honorable mention to have. That's for sure.
Yeah, was pretty regional out west, but I think she's west side now. I think she was with Lat before, Latitude 64. Just got a sideways move this past off season, but yeah, she's playing well and she's on tour, so I like her game. I like the way she plays. So yeah.
And Val is back. Is Alexis back? No. Man,
Alexis has been playing. Val's
Alexis, Val is back. It looks like. So it looks like she's registered to play. So I'm excited to see what she's going to do. So, all right, there are our picks for Texas State. I watched the practice round from Ezra and Brody. The course looks very interesting. Lots of tight OB. It's going to be a accurate golfer's paradise. Keeping it between the left and right because there's not a lot of natural OB with water and things like that. It's basically they're putting some lines and they're saying you got to land within this area. And then there's a lot of rivers that run through fairways that they put artificial or cart paths or whatever it may be. So I'm excited to see. So there's some elevation there. So I'd like to watch it because this is the first time they've played Texas State's on this course. Mm-hmm. So hopefully it turns out well. And I'm sure we'll hear a lot of complaints and dogging of that course. All right, so end of an era. Let's talk about Tatar, the first time off podium in an elite or silver event in 18 events. So this is the 19th event she's played. So this has been 4 years worth of event. Yeah, 4 years, 3 years, 4 years worth of events. So basically since she started playing these events, this is the first time she's finished off podium. That's awesome. That's awesome. So I don't know if there's much to say about it. You guys have anything to say?
I mean, she came in 5th, and it's just nothing to be concerned about. So if anybody says that Kristin Tatar's, she's lost it, she's done, you're a fool. Because she didn't necessarily play great. Yeah, she didn't play necessarily her greatest golf, but she finished in 5th. So that should tell you that Kristin Tatar is not going anywhere.
No. And it was straight Shanktown. Like, she was just not throwing the disc well. Comparably speaking, she was just simply not throwing the disc well. But we'll see. We'll see if she can kind of pick it up. And in her post-round interview, she basically said she just didn't feel like herself. She felt like she was someone else's body out there, essentially. And she only came in 5th.
Her post-round interview with good. Nate Perkins, the newest member of Clash Disc.
Oh, is he on Clash now too?
Not officially, yeah. Not well, yeah. He hasn't officially been announced, but he played the event in New Zealand a few weeks ago wearing a Team Clash gear, and then people spotted him walking around in Clash gear, and then people hit up Bobby and was like, "Yeah," at Waco, it was like, "Yeah, all the Clash guys are here," and then there's one person who I can't announce yet, and then everybody was like, "We know it's Nate Perkins. Just say it's Nate Perkins."
All right. Well, Prodigy lawsuit. Let's have a conversation, Ben. Tell us what you know.
So it's my understanding, and I know JP can jump in a little bit as well because he's been following it as well. It's my understanding that the complete lawsuit against Gannon has not been dropped, but a part of it, and that being the temporary restraining order, has been dropped. That part of the lawsuit, and that Gannon and his family now have basically like this working understanding or working agreement with Prodigy in this current state. So it's basically my understanding, and the way that I'm interpreting this is that Gannon is technically free to pursue another contract, because that was what the restraining order was that he was basically, the restraining order would be locking him into certain agreements or like within this endorsement deal. So with that being gone, that's my understanding, is that he is free to pursue this. And I think I'm not the only one that said this. Other podcasts have said this. You guys have said this. We've all said this in group chats. It's pretty much just going to be the fact that Prodigy's just looking for a buyout and a money grab at this point. So, hey, Gannon, you're free to go get that contract, but you gotta pay us like a buyout. Like, that's the way I interpret it. So who knows?
Yep. And that's what it seems to be from everything that I'm gathering and listening to and reading, is that simply what's happening is that they feel comfortable enough to move on away from the injunction to make sure that they get compensated for wages lost. And that's really what they're doing. So what their income loss. So it seems like they're just trying to protect the potential revenue that Gannon Burr would bring into them. Their feeble attempt at giving him the championship discs and things like that. And I think they'll bring in some money, but I think they've already tarnished their name well enough that it's going to be hard to push a lot of those discs. But we'll see. They're doing what they need to do. I think they're stepping up in a way that no other company has stepped up at this point, and not allowing the players to push them around. Is it a good look? No, but someone has to be the bad guy. So, all right. Anything else about Prodigy?
I'll be interested to see if Gannon signs with anybody halfway through the season, or if he's going to actually stick it out. Yeah. Or if he does sign with somebody, they announce it, but it doesn't take effect till after the season or something like that. I don't know. It'll be an interesting chain of events from here forward, seeing what goes on.
If I'm another manufacturer, I'm not touching that with a 10-foot pole. I don't want to be in any litigation. Hey, we'll open this conversation back up like after USDGC. Like, we'll talk then. Like, The last thing I want to have to do is have the potential to go to court for, I don't know, tampering of some kind or breaching of other contracts. Absolutely not. No, thank you for me.
No, I don't think anybody would be too excited to try to enter into a deal with them yet. I did tweet at Dana Vici when he congratulated Gannon Burr, and I said, yeah, he'll look even better with with the Discmania patch on his back, right? He never responded back.
Because there's probably some truth to it.
Yeah. So, I mean, good for him. I think he has definitely probably wised up a little bit, pulled a bit of emotion out of it, and he's actually understanding that, contracts mean something, and you can't just bail on them. I mean, they could, and they did. A lot of people did, but now it seems like the precedent has been set. It'll be that much easier for the next manufacturer that will lose a high-end or high-profile player to go after them. So we'll see. So Champions Cup drama. So let's have a conversation about that. Was that you, Ben, or was that JP that brought that one up?
It was kind of both of us, but I'm happy to talk about it if you want me to.
Go for it.
So Champions Cup is limited to 144 players, 100 MPO players, and 44 FPO players. And there are, I'd have to pull it up, but I know that there are about 16 full-time touring pros that, like, names we know, including Casey White being number one on the waiting list for Champions Cup. And I forgot who basically tweeted out, it was like, hey, here's the wait list. There's 16 touring pros that are not playing this event. Basically alluding to the fact of like, oh, I didn't know when we needed to sign up, or I didn't know how sign up was going, or like that was the kind of the vibe that was being given off online, was like, oh, like this event filled up super fast. And I didn't get into it. And then Ezra and Drew Gibson got involved. Well, no shocker, Drew Gibson was getting involved with something on Twitter. Like, let's go there.
Yeah, right.
But Ezra basically responded, was like, "This is literally our job. Our job is to play tournaments. We're supposed to know when the tournaments are happening." So it is interesting how they choose the number of people playing Champions Cup, given that it's on the Pro Tour, it's a shotgun start, or not shotgun start, it's a tee times, like it's not a shotgun start, so like you can run many a card out there. So 100 is an interesting number to pick, but they also did a tier or a ratings wave registration. So if you were a 10-20 rated or above and received a Champions Cup invite, you got a full week ahead of time before the next set to register.
But that's not abnormal for signing up for these things. I mean, Vegas has the same one. I mean, almost any of them have them. So the thing, I mean, I'm looking at it, and there's 991 rated individuals is the lowest rated. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4 that are below 1,000 rated, and then it goes up from there. And there's quite a few, 1,000 to 1,010 that are in there, and people that I've never heard of them before. They're not touring players, but once again, I think Drew Gibson was the first one. Like, it's your job. I think he was the first one to say that. He's right. Like, if you're sleeping on it, or let's say you have something to play, or you're traveling, make sure there's someone there to sign you up. And someone mentioned agents and sponsors and manufacturers, and there's all these people that are there to help you succeed, right? I don't think there's any excuse for missing it. And maybe it is just one of those things where tour card carrying individuals should probably have the precedent. But if you're not a tour card carrying, then maybe you shouldn't. So if there is some issues in that regard, I think those need to be cleaned up.
This isn't a tour event, though. This is a PDGA major and a PDGA event. So the PDGA is going to do it however they want. And I think too many of these touring pros were resting on their laurels of like, well, I have a tour card, or like if they have already qualified for USDGC. Because if you qualify for USDGC, that spot's yours. You just like register for it by a certain deadline. Like, they don't give that away to somebody else. Where like with this event, so many people got invites and they qualified for it, but then you still had to register for it. Where, like I said, with USDGC, it's like, here are the number of qualifiers. Like, you either register or you don't, and like the field size is just different, right? Like, because if Ken Climo decides to play one year, the field size just goes up. It's just added to another person, right? Like, it's not like it's not capped at whatever. So I think too many people just got lazy, to be honest. That's my take.
Yeah, complacent. Yeah. So I don't know if there's too much drama there to talk about then. I mean, for some reason I was thinking it was a tour event, but no, it's just straight up a PDGA event. So it is what it is at this point. You missed it. Hopefully people drop out. It looks like there's some overseas folks. Maybe they won't come in, but yeah, sucks to suck, I guess.
Yeah, they should have a different tiered sign up. It should be winners of Pro Tour events first, then Silver Series, and then everybody else. Then that's truly a Champions Cup.
So you think majors and elites, then silver, then
and then everybody else.
Yeah,
I want to.
I think it's just the name itself, Champions Cup. Is it appropriate to have on that? I mean, I know they have Champions Cup in almost every other sport. There's a Champions Cup. But there's usually significance behind it, right? I don't think there is in this. This is just another tournament that no, it's Bushnell.
No, PDGA.
Yeah,
the
PDGA and Bushnell is presenting. So I don't know if there's really but that's the issue with disc golf, is that our majors, shout out to the Casual Relief, that majors just don't have that history, that they're just another tournament on another course, and there's no significance to any of them other than their name. I mean, in reality. So, and I think this is another one of those things. It's just the name, and people are getting huffy about it. It's just just another tournament. I mean, there's a pretty big payday there, but
it's on the right track. If it continues to stay at WR Jackson and like it's just there and it just continues to build to something. But like we talked about on Casual Relief, like there's just a lot of things that need to happen in moving in the right direction to give majors some prestige. Like I think I was in the camp of like worlds can continue to move, but all like to different courses, but all the moving parts need to come together every year. So like it's just with majors in general, we just need to do a better job. Like the PGA just needs to do a better job of figuring out how to keep pushing it forward to have some history, some prestige, some grandiose to it.
You know, I think Worlds is one of those that I like the idea of it moving around. I don't have an issue with that. I mean, I think I would prefer, and I've said it before, I think I would prefer that it stays on a rotation, but it doesn't need to. It can, similar to the Super Bowl, like it can move from stadium to stadium to stadium, but in essence, the NFL runs the Super Bowl. It's not the stadium. I mean, the stadium, obviously, infrastructure, all that stuff, but the Super Bowl is ran by the overarching organization. Why is Worlds any different? Why do they just all of a sudden allow whatever TD of whatever area to just go ahead and run these things just because they put in a bid? I think they're kind of pushing that way with Nate Heinold, kind of doing everything at this point. But why are they not, like, I think it was you, Ben, that said that they just need somebody there, and this will be a great segue into our next topic. They need a staff that's what they do. And that's your focus. I mean, there's enough money in these coffers to make these events exactly what they need to be made. I think they need to stop focusing on, you know what? I'm not even getting into all that. They have the money to buy the resources to make these things perfect every single time, or at least 90% perfect, 99% perfect.
It's just staff allocation. I think that, to me, that's just all it is. Like, I mean, I think there are too many people at the PDGA that just do too many things, and like the Worlds and their bigger tournaments become secondary to other things that they do. That's really just my opinion.
Yeah, I was thinking about this in my truck, that when I was listening to your guys, I think the problem with the PDGA, and I have never looked at, now this is just surface level from what I feel, my gut, and what I have, I guess, vaguely understood about how the PDGA is run, is that I think the PDGA was run on a volunteer basis with 1 or 2 full-time employees for, I would say, maybe 5 to 10 years after its inception, it had 1. And then from there, it got 2 members. And then now I know they have quite a few more, but it's still primarily board run by volunteers. Why? Just like any other nonprofit, hire a director and have them run it. Give them guidance. That's it. And then he needs to hire the staff and hold people accountable to what is happening and for their paychecks. This volunteer stuff, I think they're in a transition point where they need to bring on more full-time, salaried, educated, experienced individuals rather than people that are volunteer based and they're the ones kind of running the show. Just my thought. With that being said, Doug Bjerkaas leaves DD for a position at PDGA. So kind of a shocker to me, because he's kind of been there forever, and his wife is real big instrumental part of DD as well. But is she the next one to go? Anything to say about that at all?
I don't necessarily know what she does. My question when I originally saw this was, Did House of Disc force him out and PDGA was like, sure, here's a safe landing spot for you? Or if this was truly just him being like, writings on the wall eventually. Later.
So he was the president of DD. So there's a good possibility that happened. But he also was relinquishing his positions because he was their tournament director. He was, he did DDO for a while. He's slowly been stepping away from a lot of that stuff over the years, where he just simply went to being the president of DD. So who knows? Who knows? I think it was a slow transition. I think everybody knew it was kind of coming. And I think that's also maybe lends a little credence to why Paige Shue decided that she was going to kind of step away without really talking with DD. So maybe this was something that might have been planned for quite a while. Or you're right. Maybe House of Disc took over and said, look, this is redundant. We don't need this many people, especially if we're going to keep Jeremy Rusko on and pay him what we're going to pay him. You need to pick. So could very well be. Business is business.
Regardless of what ever happened, what he alluded to in this letter, just wrapping it up in a nice bow, sounds like Doug Bjerkaas might be our guy, might be our major guy.
Oh, I hope so.
To fix all of the things that we want to get fixed.
I mean, he did a fantastic job with DDO, and I think Dynamic Disc has always done a very good job at doing those things, and I think he was a big part of what they have done in the past. So not saying he was the reason, but I'm sure he was a big part of it. So I'm super happy to see it, and hopefully PDGA will step up their game. Like I said, I've always said it, step up their game or just get out of the way and let someone else do it. So with that all being said, Ben, you got a random question for us?
I do. Well, it's 2 questions, but only one of them's random. Are you familiar with the phrase, the best thing since sliced bread?
Yes.
Well, what was the best thing before sliced bread? So what did sliced bread dethrone as the best thing?
Maybe toilet paper? And did it truly dethrone it?
Well, it depends. It could be the porcelain throne.
I mean, sliced bread is pretty plain when you think about it. I mean,
there are infinite answers.
Yeah, there are. That's the thing.
Have you ever taken a loaf of bread unsliced and tried to slice it? It's, first of all, it's hard to get good straight slices, and it makes a mess. There's crumbs everywhere when you slice it. So
true.
I don't know if sliced bread's all it's cracked up to be.
I don't know. Have you tried cutting a bagel? Sucks.
You just gotta get one of those slicers.
Yeah, the slicer thing.
No. You just get the pre-scored ones. You get the pre-slice. All you gotta do is pull them apart. Good to go. All right. Well, I think toilet paper, Ben. That's my thought.
Indoor plumbing, probably the best thing.
As you know, bidets are pretty darn fantastic. Or as I've enlightened you guys.
But like, when I think of sliced bread, it's like, okay, there's bread, then there's sliced bread. So like sliced bread was just like something that made bread better. Like what's like something that just makes like another product better? Like Brendan said, like indoor plumbing, I guess, like, or like bidets made toilets better because they could help wash you. Like it's like that little.
Well, doesn't toilet paper make your hand better?
Yeah, I guess it's a step up from like leaves or what?
Newspaper, sandpaper.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
It's like the CD on top of the, a tape or a record or
Don't knock the vinyl, man.
Oh no, I'm not. I mean, it outsold CDs for the first time since like, what was it, like 87 or something like that recently?
Yeah, I heard. It's hipsters because there is no reason that vinyl should outsell CDs. The reason why vinyls stop selling is because their sound is inferior. Plain and simple, on all levels, their sound is inferior.
Vinyl
to CDs.
No, sir.
CD is the audio on a CD is way more compressed than on a vinyl record.
So you can make that argument about current vinyl. Old school vinyl from the 70s and 80s is different. Current vinyl, unless it's coming out of Jack White's production facility, is just the MP3 pressed onto vinyl. Like, it's not actually etched in. So you can make that argument about most of today's vinyl that's being come out. But I'm with JP on this one. Vinyl over CDs for sure.
So have they figured out a way to get rid of cracks and pops and the drag sound and all the feedback that you get, the small amounts of feedback that you get from vinyl?
I mean, they have.
Sometimes, yeah, they have.
That's what
I
makes
think
it
sometimes
great.
that has to do with your equipment as well. If you don't have a good cartridge, you'll get those pops and sounds. But there's a warmth to the sound of listening to a vinyl record that you don't get when you're listening to that compressed audio on like an MP3 or a CD. You hear more of the sonic sound of instruments than you would on an MP3.
So why is the vinyl any different as far as the equipment compared to a compact disc?
How is it different?
Yeah.
A vinyl record, you're not using a laser to listen to a CD.
Okay. So then let's move away from CDs. So like 8 tracks kind of replaced vinyl, right? And then cassette tapes replaced 8 tracks. And then, there's 45s in there somewhere. And then we'll get into Ben's timeline here. So then CDs replaced cassette tapes, and then MP3s replaced, and now we're basically living in the land of digital MP3, right?
Mm-hmm.
How young do you
what's the
think
difference
I am?
between MP3? Hey, you're young enough to not know 8 tracks.
Yeah,
other than seeing them.
8 tracks, yeah, but like the cars that I grew up in had tape player, had cassette. Like I'm not like that old, or I'm not that young.
Well, that's what I was saying. When we came into the cassettes, okay. I said, now we're back into Ben's time.
So. I thought you were talking just strictly CD.
No. So where's the advantage of vinyls compared to the digital media that we have now?
Well, I mean, yeah, no. The advantage, I guess.
I'm waiting.
No, I'm trying to think of how I can. The advantage is the sound, though. Like, that's the advantage. The ease of uploading and downloading a song or having it as an MP3 is what makes that more accessible. Like, you can have it on your phone, you can have it on your, whatever computer, but like that vinyl is that piece, and that like you have to have that to play it. Okay, well,
I mean, maybe I'm just not in the club, I guess, because I don't understand how it could sound better than a digital recording. Like, the equipment that you play it on is really what makes the difference in the music, not the media that it's recorded. And you have to get that media onto something, right? So there has to be, when you put that media onto the vinyl, obviously the original source is going to be better, right?
Yeah.
So the original source is digital.
No. The original source is not digital. It is put to digital. It is recorded to digital, but the original source is not digital.
Well, of course, the original source is the people playing it, right?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
No, but the way it's recorded and put to.
I'm trying to validate that.
Here. Let's use the podcast as a as an example for a second.
Mm-hmm.
When you can put the podcast in different audio formats, MP3, AAC.
Sure.
When you put it in MP3, that is super compressed. Whereas like when I would put the podcast out on with the pod tracker, I would put it on AAC. It's a much larger file, but the audio isn't compressed as much. So you're hearing more and it's not as broken down and compressed.
Yeah.
That's what vinyl is.
But it's still digital, so you can still hear that through a digital device. So what's the need of vinyl? Is it a nostalgic thing or I'm just trying to figure out why a ancient technology that we went away from for a reason is making a resurgence. That's what I'm trying to get at. Is it this nostalgic or hipster or
I think it's that. And it's also the fact that people just aren't making CDs anymore.
Right.
CDs aren't being produced anymore. So that's another reason why it's outselling CDs.
Well, because you can stream everything. I mean, everything is available at the tip of your fingers at any point. So I understand that. So that's more of a convenience thing. So the sound isn't better through these devices than it is through a record.
It could be because most turntables require like decent speakers, and like you can like just playing something off your phone through compressed or just through like a small little portable speaker. It's probably gonna sound better when you have I do have a turntable just behind my camera here with speakers, and it sounds different, but in my opinion better. But that's also just because it's bigger and the sound's coming through different than just like this portable speaker I have. I think with the nostalgia thing, I don't have any nostalgia for it, but it's more or less like this community thing of just like putting on a record and like people are hanging out and we're doing whatever we're doing, you know?
So it's like craft brewers or like craft beer. I mean, it's like, sure, it's fun going out, tasting it and stuff, but in reality, like you're just getting together with friends. Like that's the big part about it. It's the community of it, right?
Okay, well, when I go out for craft beer,
that wasn't insulting.
No, I'm just saying, like, I'm going for, like, I think there's more nuances to the beer. But yes, I get what you're saying.
Okay. I was trying to see how many people I could offend, so
a lot.
I figured I'd throw that in there too. All right. Ben, what's the last random portion of this question?
Oh, it was the sliced bread. My first question, well, there was the question was, have you heard of the phrase? Because I apparently had thrown out some phrases in the past that like I'd asked like many other people, and Shane, you were the only one that had heard that phrase before. I couldn't remember what it is at this time, so I just need to verify that you had heard that phrase, so then I could continue on with the random question.
Okay, I get it. All right. Well, that went in a very long tangent. So, all right. Shop updates. MD1s and Rainmakers are ordered, and they will be here soon. And LSD, so Lone Star Discs. Man, we started with drugs. We're ending with drugs. Like Lone Star Discs is on the site. It is ready to be ordered. So keep in mind, door_disc_golf, night_owl_pod, and then doordisc.com. It's where you can get all your disc golf needs. So with that being said, check out Casual Relief, and well, I guess just subscribe to the channel and you'll get Casual Relief, and you'll have our random Monday episodes. And they'll come out hopefully weekly, but for sure they'll be random. So outside of that, anything else to say, Ben? You got some little insight into what next episode is going to be about for next week, or have you thought that far ahead?
Yep. So this week, this next episode, we're going to be building a Dream 18 in our world of 18 holes from various different courses, whether we've played them or not, or we've just seen them, kind of rooted in like course design from what we saw in Austin of like how would we make things better. So it was just kind of like the conversation of like, well, what if we took this from this course and this from this course and like, you know, smashing them all together. And then the following week, we're going to have our first guest on the podcast.
Ooh. Who we getting, or who you guys getting?
Kadonkey himself.
Okay, cool. Is he going to be in person or?
He will be joining the Riverside. He'll be
Nice.
hopping on via video, and he'll be joining us for our podcast in a couple weeks. So excited to have him.
Great. He's a joy to have. It's going to be funny how nervous he's going to be, and then he's going to settle right in and be perfect. All right. Well, outside of that, if there's anything else, I'm not going to tease the OnlyFans anymore because it's coming. So now it's just a debate whether we're going to continue to keep it on Patreon or Spotify has just allowed us to start it like a Patreon-ish type thing through Spotify. So where you listen, you don't have to go to separate places. So we'll have that conversation, and then we'll get that up, I don't know, probably within the next year, I would say. So with that being said, keep us subpar. You guys got anything else to say?
Nope.
Deuces. Peace out.